Z says single issue voters are so dangerous. But the reality is that you need to know how we got here. So interestingly enough, by the time Roe v. Wade ends up getting to the Supreme Court and people end up voting on it, it was not a Democratic or Republican issue. Everybody agreed. Almost 50% of each party said that Roe v. Wade needed to be legalized. They were for it. They were for it. So much so that the Supreme Court that voted for Roe v. Wade was heavily Republican. There were a Republican Supreme Court. And so that's what makes this whole narrative very, very interesting, because at some point in the late 1970s, Republicans made it a one vote issue. And let me tell you, the person that spearheaded this whole movement, meet our good sis Phyllis. You may not know who she is because you're probably not a right winger, but Phyllis is somebody who is touted as an amazing Republican for the Heritage Foundation and also on Breitbart. Okay, but what's so important about Phyllis? Phyllis was a conservative activist. Okay, not only was she a conservative activist, but she was also a Catholic. And so the only people group that was against abortion from the very beginning were the Catholics. And so you had this Republican Democrat type thing where they were like teetering on, like, yeah, we should do abortion, but let's not go too far because we're still trying to get the Catholic Church. We're still trying to get the Catholic money. If you don't know how rich the Catholic Church is, then what rock have you been under? At any rate, back to Phyllis. Okay, so Phyllis was always against this whole abortion situation. And so if you take a look at the back right there, you see this thing called the stop era. Toy, what's the stop era? What's going on with that? What is she hollering about inside that bullhorn? Honey, she was trying to take away women's rights in divorce. Yeah. This was during the women's revolution. Sis was out here like, no. I'm trying to tell you that we shouldn't broaden women's rights. We need to take away the rights of women in divorce. But it gets deeper. In walks the conservative church. What you need to understand is that the conservative church of the South, the conservative church, had already released a statement saying that in certain instances, abortion should absolutely be legal. They had already said that. And crazy enough, Joe Biden, who had just got elected as a senator, actually came out and said that he thought that the ruling was far-reaching. They did too much, okay? But this is what Phyllis is out here talking about. Phyllis is like, no, honey. We need to take away these rights. And Phyllis believed that for the Republican Party, there were too many liberalized Republicans within the party. And that was a problem. So then you end up getting Reagan into office. And Reagan was somebody who did not support abortion. And this was really, really great for people like Phyllis, because then they had somebody who was at the top of the food chain that could help support and push their cause. But one thing I would like to let you all know, because I've been seeing you guys argue about this for days. You guys have been talking about it inside of the comments one way or another. I'm just going to let you know that the whole abortion thing, I was right. And you ain't even got to take my word for it because I'm going to show you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move myself out the way. And I left this as a link so y'all can know that I got it off of Al Gore's internet. But I'm going to read to you exactly what it says. It says, these groups portrayed abortion as a threat to the family structure, along with broader social developments like gay rights, rising divorce rates, and women working outside of the home. For pastors and parishioners, abortion became a proxy issue for concerns about a liberalizing society. And Mary Ziegler is a legal historian. And the caption, the exact quote is, for many evangelicals, this was more about family and women and sex. Did y'all see that? Them divorce rates were starting to be a little scary back in the 1970s. Them women started working outside of the household, being all liberated. And even back then, they said that the conservative or evangelical church became more interested in taxes and things because they became more what? educated. You got to go and check out that article because that article was spitting facts. And quite frankly, it was the first time I had ever seen that article for myself. But what I'm here to tell you is that this whole movement has been plotted for decades. For decades. And the reason why it was established was so they can lasso white women back into order. So that they could get rid of those people that were considered too liberal. And if you go on the Heritage Foundation right now, I did it so you don't have to. It literally does not say pro-life. It says pro-family. I don't know why y'all don't be trying to hear me when I be trying. Y'all just want to dance. This is what I'm just trying to say. Like, y'all, come on. Absolutely correct. Single issue voters are very dangerous, and they did that on purpose. And the single issue is always abortion, and everything else comes second.